You're very welcome. Back now with the news that the Tokyo Olympics has been postponed. The lives of athletes across the world has been dramatically altered, with changes to training, diet and their own personal lives having to shift.
Now, while qualification for Tokyo 2021 gets pushed back, Irish Olympic diver Oliver Dingley has used this unscheduled extra time to focus on a new podcast entitled Life in a Bubble with Oliver Dingley. And he's joining us from his bubble on Skype this morning. Hi, Oliver. How are you?
Hi, Oliver.
Hello. I'm great, thank you. Very hungry after listening to that last segment.
Oh, yeah, well,
it sounded great, the food.
Yeah, if you could see it and smell it as well, you'd be even more hungry. Exactly. It was impressive. And I guess it may,
sure.
perhaps with the postponement of the Olympics and the training, you can have some chicken wings at this stage. Oliver, what stage were you at for qualification for what was meant to be the Olympics 2020 that have now been postponed till next year?
So I was actually in the process of I was about to qualify. I was going over to Japan for my qualifying event, and I would have been leaving about 3 weeks before it was cancelled. So it's kind of been a very strange period of kind of going from full-on diving to kind of just relatively trying to relax it and trying to get my head around, trying to reset again.
That can't be easy, because we were talking earlier on and Aidan made a very good point about how sports people's lives, professional sports people, everything is scheduled and everything is leading towards one goal, I suppose. So how did you feel when that was confirmed, Oliver?
Very true. I mean, like, the Olympics isn't just a 4-year cycle. It's a lifetime of a cycle where your family, your friends, your coaches, everyone's invested in you for such a long period of time. But having said that, it's not cancelled. And I'm generally feeling quite relaxed about it. I'm looking forward to getting going again. And it gives me another year to try and get a bit better as well and push for an even better result.
Yeah, that is a good way of looking at it, whereas other athletes might fear that this was their time and this was their peak, and next year things perhaps might be too late. Let's talk about Rio in 2016. That's where many of us saw you for the first time diving from the 3-metre. Just what an experience was that like for you to represent Ireland in the world's biggest competition?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. The podcast I'm creating is called Life in a Bubble. And when you're at the Olympics, it really does feel like you're in a bubble. Not for one moment did I expect so many people to tune in. You just you go with the flow each day, and you're kind of totally oblivious to everything else that's going on in the wider world. And you're in this village of 10,000 people, just 10,000 of the best athletes in the world. And to be part of that's absolutely fantastic. And to get to represent Ireland on the world stage, and for me at my first Olympics, then to get into an Olympic final was out of this world. And I do have a crazy sport where you dive off the diving board, you throw and hold on for your life, and then try to go for the water with no splash. So there's a fair bit of pressure there to kind of not mess up and end up on YouTube for all the wrong reasons. So it's a very intense event.
Watching the footage of you there, Oliver, is quite incredible. It's an art form in itself. When did it all start for you diving?
So I actually started when I was 7 years old. So I'm actually in my 20th year of diving now. It feels like a long time, but I've loved every single second of it. But I was always just a bit of an absolute wild child. I used to launch myself off absolutely anything. So diving was kind of a natural progression for me to kind of launch myself off the sofa and doing my parents' head in, to actually doing it into something a bit safer. Such
Maybe
as
it was
water.
a very sensible thing for your parents to have done.
I think so.
Yeah, at least be jumping into the water and not landing on hard concrete. So let's talk about your podcast, Oliver, Life in a Bubble, as you call it. Why did you start to do this, apart from having more time on your hands?
So, I mean, I've wanted to do this for a long time now. I actually study film and broadcasting at TU Dublin. So I'm in my 3rd year now, and I actually specialise in radio. So I love the whole concept, and I love the whole audio concept. So I made this podcast called Life in a Bubble, which the idea of it is that we have guests on who these people have achieved something really, really good in their own chosen profession. And we really want to know their life story, but in order to do this, we have 6 photos. Now, you wouldn't think photos really work in audio, but I kind of feel like it gets people's imaginations going. And so the guest brings in 3 photos, and I bring in 3 photos. And they're kind of significant moments of their lives, whether they're good moments or whether they're kind of challenging moments. And we'll talk about the journeys behind them. And it's been an absolute brilliant pleasure to do. I've been lucky enough to meet some fantastic people, hear some fantastic stories, and generally have a good laugh doing it. And especially kind of in today's society, I've heard some really, really good prevalent stories around mental health, body image, but also just in a really really good setting as well, where we've enjoyed chatting about it.
So, Oliver, for viewers who might think this podcast is kind of a niche sports podcast, it's most definitely not. I mean, you have all our Ireland winner Anna Geary, Olympian David Gillick. You've got a long list of very interesting personalities there.
Hopefully the list gets even bigger as well. I mean, we're trying to make it as broad as possible. So we have people who have done sports. We've got Christian Tierney on the next episode, who's a photographer. He's actually had photos on billboards in Times Square. He's photographed some of the most well-known musicians and Hollywood stars. Today's episode that was out is Garode Farley, one of my favourite comedians. Like you said, Anna Geary's been on. It was a runner-up with Dancing with the Stars. We've had Keith Walsh, radio DJ, David Gillick, winner of Celebrity MasterChef. He's also a very talented man. He's also an Olympian as well. So we've had a great wide spectrum of people. We even have Debbie O'Donnell coming on soon, who I believe was actually a part of Ireland AM show, and she produced Expose. So really good broad range of people, and it makes it really, really interesting. Everyone has their own little quirks and own little messages as well.
She's one of the people who would have launched Ireland AM 20 years ago. That's
right.
Yeah.
So a diverse bunch of people you have there. Oliver, is it important for you and other sports people, I guess, to have other things going on in their life, for want of a better word, and possible other avenues after sport, an area that they could work more in?
Most definitely. I mean, in the immediate term, I've actually found it quite hard to get going. I've had my days where I'm kind of struggling to get out of bed before lunchtime, and then instead of having lunch, I'm having breakfast. So right now, with everything that's going on in the world, it's nice to have something else going on. Now, I'm pretty hectic with my college work as well. Plenty of assignments. They're not going easy on us. So that combined with my podcast has kept me busy, and also a bit of exercise on the side. But going ahead into the future, definitely. I've always had a keen interest in radio and other areas as well. So it's something that's it's actually, since starting college in 2017, my diving's actually improved, having that on the side. And I think that's because I have a much better balance now. And that balance has helped me kind of produce even better results. And going ahead to Tokyo 2021 now, it's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it seems like you're enjoying life and you're exploring other opportunities, which is fantastic. So the podcast is there, Life in a Bubble with Oliver Dingley.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on, and you can get the podcast wherever you get your podcasts as well, so it's easy to access.
We will do that, Oliver, and we really, really look forward to seeing you on the board in 2021. July 21, you'll be there representing Ireland, please God. Thanks, Oliver.
Thanks, Oliver. Stay safe.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Take care.